If you're new to the channel, please do drop a subscription. Bottom right-hand corner, smash a like on the video as well. Lots to get into. Xhaka, gone. Reiss Nelson, gone. Balogun, gone in the sense that England to USA. We'll tuck into that. Of course, we've got the latest on Declan Rice. We've got some odds and sods. And we've got, guess, the Gooner. So plenty to get into today. Welcome on TikTok as well. I was running slightly late because I just put out a video about Granit Xhaka, because we do now have confirmation from Fabrizio Romano that it is done. It is all over in terms of Granit Xhaka and Arsenal. Devin, Ross, Sid, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Emil as well. According to Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal are preparing a bid in the next few weeks for Declan Rice. That is true. Dominic, good to see you. What's up, Rory? You're really working with Pitchside, and I respect. Yeah, I was on Pitchside again today. The podcast is now out, so if you want to listen to me even more after this, head over to the Pitchside podcast and listen to it. Deadpool, Edward, good to see you. Hi, Rory. Geertruida, Simican, Rice, Caicedo, Elise, and Tony is a dream summer. That would be good. That does strike me as being quite expensive. Connor, good to see you. I'm good, thank you. How much would you sell Xhaka for? More than is apparently being quoted for him, is what I would say. Are Liverpool getting UCL? I don't think so, but only because I just think Newcastle and Man United should both win the next 2 games out of their last 3. Sportcat, hey mate, how are you? Had my first GCSE exam today. Not congratulations. I hope it went okay. And shout out to anyone doing exams at the moment. It's a brutal time of year, and I hope you just get through it unscathed. So yeah, I hated exams. Xhaka will probably be a part of a player swap, very possibly. Very possibly. Link you tweeted just gives an error message for pitch side. Not so sure if just me. Oh, right. I don't know why it's done that. What? Which link? Let me know which link. Anyway, look, Granit Xhaka gone. That's in the title. There were lots of rumours earlier in the day speculating. So Chris Wheatley said it's true. Granit Xhaka is expected to leave Arsenal this summer after 7 years at the club. The Swiss captain is seeking new challenges. Already informed Mikel Arteta about his decision, but fully focused on final games. And then we pretty much had confirmation this evening, literally about 10 minutes before I went live, from Fabrizio Romano. Granit Xhaka is set to leave Arsenal at the end of the season. No negotiations taking place over a new deal, and the plan is to part ways in June. Bayer Leverkusen are in advanced talks to sign him for a €15 million fee. Understand personal terms are almost agreed over a 4-year deal until June 2027. So, look, ultimately, I don't blame Xhaka for wanting to leave. It's sad that he wants to leave. We've had this sort of redemption arc for Xhaka. It's been such a good season for him. And it would have been amazing to see him in the Champions League that he's fought so hard to get us into. But ultimately, if he has sat down with Arteta, with Edu, with the club, and they have said, and look, we've all been talking about Rice and Caicedo and Zubamendi and all these options. Ultimately, they are options to replace Granit Xhaka. And if he sat down and said, look, I want to be playing regular first-team football, and Arteta has said, you're not going to get that at Arsenal next season, then regardless of Champions League or not, it might just be his decision that, you know, he would rather move and continue playing properly at his age. It's a big time to make a decision for him. The point of his career he's in, that age, he's got one more sort of big deal left in him. And he's likely to get a far better deal now, whether it's Bayer Leverkusen or anyone else. It sounds like it's going to be Bayer Leverkusen. He's far more likely to get a good deal now than if he waited another season, didn't feature much for Arsenal next season, and then suddenly you're a 31-year-old. So look, it's a sad one, but it is what it is. Have you heard about Xavi Simon's news about him going to Arsenal? Yeah, I saw a brief thing about Xavi Simons to Arsenal. It wasn't massively, I don't know. It didn't seem that legit to me. It's an interesting one to talk about. There's so much to talk about today. We probably won't have time for that specifically. But It feels like the start of a new chapter for him, and he had his redemption and got us UCL, and it's part of a new Arsenal era, and he won't be in the plan. I think that's it. He knows he's not part of the plans for the future. We do also know that his wife has wanted to move back to Germany for a while, and really it was like his decision to stay at Arsenal last season. And now is the time for him to move on, and you've got to respect that decision. So look, I just wish him all the best. I really do wish him all the best. Reiss Nelson is also leaving. Wife's a sort as well, even more of a shame. I know. Reiss Nelson leaving. Sammy Mockbell, Daily Mail. Reiss Nelson has rejected Arsenal's latest contract offer, so that's the second contract offer we've given him. He's rejected it, and he is now set to leave the club. That is all but confirmed that Reiss Nelson will be going. So another one, these are long-serving Arsenal players in the form of Xhaka and Reiss Nelson that are going to be moved on this summer. And it does really feel like this summer is going to be a huge transition where there is no more room for, not even passengers. I don't think Reiss Nelson, and especially not Granit Xhaka, are passengers, but it is like cleaning house and really leveling up the whole squad. Xhaka leaving sucks, but I'm glad he shut the haters up and he turned around a difficult situation, which showed his character when the likes of Ozil, Alba flopped. I completely agree, Ross. Imagine, I think even if he'd left last summer, ultimately, I don't think he would have been remembered that fondly at Arsenal. But after the season that he's had, I think he now will be, and I'm really happy for him for that. Did you see Fabrizio Romano says we'll bid for Rice in a few weeks? Yeah, I've got a few things about Declan Rice. Got a few things about that. Shame Nelson is a class player. Every time he's on, he's great. And I think he's the best option for a backup right wing or even a backup anyway. So this is the one thing, actually, that I did want to say about Reiss Nelson, because I've said we should keep him, and I do think he's a fantastic impact sub. The one reason why I do think it is best for him to leave is that on the left-hand side, we've got Martinelli, we've got Trossard, and we've arguably got Emile Smith-Rowe. We don't necessarily need a Reiss Nelson as well. Off the right-hand side, which is where you could argue we do need depth and we do need a backup for Bukayo Saka, there is an argument that Reiss Nelson isn't the right person to do that, not because of his ability, but because he's a completely different player to Bukayo Saka. And we've said it previously that if we look across the board at what Arteta tries to do, he's trying to replicate every position with someone else that plays in the same style so that he doesn't have to change the system. Whereas Reiss Nelson is a right-footed player that likes to take it past the man down the line and whip a ball in. It's very different to Bukayo Saka. So I do think the plan is going to be to bring in a left-footed right winger similar to Bukayo Saka, and Moussa Diaby is probably going to be that guy. Granit Xhaka going to Bayer Leverkusen one way, it very much could feed into Moussa Diaby coming the other way. So in that sense, I do understand Reiss Nelson leaving. Again, it's a shame. I thought he should have had more game time this season, but it is what it is. Who do you think we signed to add some depth to the back four? I honestly don't know. The defensive side of things is where I am. I'm unsure. Mark Guehi's an option, but he's expensive. Sutalo, the Dinamo Zagreb player, is an option. You've got the likes of Lenormand from Real Sociedad, but it's a tricky one. It's an interesting one this summer. Nelson's shined this season at times, but ultimately I'm not sad he's leaving. These are the situations we caved in the past by overpaying in wages to keep players who won't start. Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that, Ross. How expensive is Guehi? Crystal Palace are quoting 50 million for him. So 50 million, and 20% of that goes to Chelsea as well, which is just a little kicker on it. What's your opinions on Theo Baker thinking the title isn't over yet? I think he thinks the title's over now. 50 is insane. Yeah, I do think 50 is insane. Yeah, Simikan is an option. So we mentioned Simikan either yesterday or a couple of days ago. Simikan is an option, especially because he can play at right back and at centre back. For Arsenal, I feel we've done the buying youth and hoping they come good. We need world beaters and proven players now. Yeah, I think now is the time that you bring in world-class players and you upgrade the squad. And where possible, you can still bring youth through. but it's just not going to be as easy to bring that youth through anymore because they have to be so good to get into the first team. Will not stop screaming. Lenormand is the player to sign, in my opinion. Well, I don't disagree, Ross. I do think he's good backup for Saliba. Do you think Kivior can be left back if Tierney leaves? I do, yeah. I do think we're going to see Kivior played at left back when Zinchenko isn't fit, when we've got the rest of the back line in place. I do think we'll see that. How many players do you see Arsenal signing this summer, and how much will we spend? So there's actually a part on that. So basically, this is coming from Gary Jacob, who writes for The Times. He said, Arsenal have cleared Mikel Arteta to break the club's spending record this summer in a splurge that will exceed £200 million. Arteta wants to sign both midfielders, Declan Rice and Moises Caicedo, who alone could cost a combined 170 million. So you're looking at over 200 million. I think we need to sign at least 5 players. I think we need 2 midfielders at least, especially with Granit Xhaka going. I think we need 2 defenders, and I think we need at least 1 attacker, possibly 2. So we need a minimum of 5 players. Tomiyasu can also be Zinchenko's cover, and Caicedo can be signed. So an update on Tomiyasu. Annoyingly, Tomiyasu's knee surgery that he had to have means he's probably out until September, which means he's going to miss all of pre-season, and he will also miss the start of next season. Added on to that, he will be at the Asia Cup next January. So he's going to miss the start of the season. He's then going to miss January, and he's already an injury-prone player. I'm getting to the point where I say you sell Tomiyasu. But you won't be able to sell him this summer because he's injured. But yeah, an absolute stinker for Tomiyasu, which is really frustrating. Didn't know that. Yeah, it's annoying. No worries, Jake. Good to see you. What are your thoughts on Mason Mount at Arsenal? I wouldn't mind Mason Mount at Arsenal. I do think it's a good option. He's versatile. He is very good. He's had a bad season, but everyone at Chelsea has. I do not think it would be a bad option. Balogun, Fowler and Balogun, slightly not to do with Arsenal, but it does affect Arsenal. Balogun announced today officially he is joining USMNT, the US men's national team. He's not going to represent England. Now, the reason that affects Arsenal is that his commercial value is going to absolutely rocket. Being a star player, effectively, for the US men's national team, rather than being like a bit part player for England, in terms of being in front of that audience, that US market, yeah, his commercial value is going to massively increase, which, because of the way that you can sell image rights and stuff as a club, should make him more valuable to Arsenal when we sell him. So that is, in terms of an Arsenal perspective of that whole Balogun thing, it's good for Arsenal. I also think it's probably long-term good for Balogun. I really do. Just knowing the way that Southgate operates and stuff, I don't think he'd have got the chances that he deserved for England. So I think that's decent. Kind of off topic, how long do you think it will take Chelsea to rebuild? At least a couple of years. And that's if it goes well. I don't think I don't know. I feel like some Chelsea fans don't necessarily realise how messed up they are in terms of the squad being so bloated. 45 mil for Balogun, 35 mil for Tierney. You won't get that. You'd be more likely to get 35 to 40 for Balogun and 25 to 30 for Tierney. You'd be good to get 70 million for those two, unfortunately. Where are you watching the Forest game? I don't actually know. I might just stream it on here. The latest on Declan Rice, though, other than what I said from Gary Jacob, Malek Uzia for the Standard said West Ham want to delay talks over Rice's future until after their possible European final, with Arsenal pushing to get it done. So we've seen lots of reports that Arsenal have been in communication with West Ham and Declan Rice for a long time, and that we're trying to get it done early doors at the start of summer. But in order to keep Rice focused on West Ham, basically West Ham don't want to open talks until they've got that final, if they make it, out of the way. So that could delay that signing, which is a bit annoying. George, good to see you. Gutted to hear about Granit. Yeah, it is sad. Are Forest staying up? I think Forest will stay up, yeah. If we're only getting 15 million for Xhaka, I can see us getting no more than 20 for Tierney. I do think you get more for Tierney just because of his age. And he's got, I believe, Tierney's got 2 years on his contract, whereas Xhaka's got 1. But I would say that that's not even 15 million pounds. It's 15 million euros. So that's what, 12 million quid. It's not a lot of money. It's what we paid for Jorginho, pretty much. So it's not a lot. If reports are correct with what we'll spend in the summer, will mean Arsenal could have spent 600 million in Mikel's reign, the same Chelsea spent in the last 10 months. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Rice and Caicedo together makes Arsenal more defensive than offensive. I sort of see your point, but I also disagree because both Rice and Caicedo, I think, long term are capable of getting forward really well. Rice is definitely capable of playing in that Xhaka role, in a more advanced role. Thoughts on Vlahovic wanting to join Arsenal? I don't blame him, but I don't want him. And Thomas said, is Reiss Nelson leaving 100%? Yeah, pretty much. He's rejected the second contract offer, and it sounds like he's basically gone now. And then an interesting one. So this is the source for this is Team News and Ticks, who is obviously not like a traditional source, but he's actually every season pretty much, but especially this season, he gets Arsenal, or not even just Arsenal, he gets a lot of team news about teams starting lineups and stuff a long time before they're actually announced. And he said Arsenal provisionally agreed a deal with both West Ham and Declan Rice months ago. The upfront fee was less than what is currently being quoted, whilst the wages are way below what is being quoted as well. Talks have been ongoing for months. So there is a claim that Arsenal had pretty much agreed terms with Declan Rice, both a fee with West Ham and wages with Rice, and that it was almost signed, sealed, and delivered. The worry is that because of how good Declan Rice's end to the season has been since then, West Ham might look at it and think they can get more money. And if nothing was ever signed, which it wouldn't have been, because it couldn't have been legally, then it is what it is. Thoughts on Arsenal versus Barcelona pre-season? I don't know. It depends what sort of teams they put out. Pre-season games are always a bit of a mess because you don't know. You know, we could put out half a squad, a full squad. Barcelona could do the same. But we'll stream it. We'll stream it nonetheless. Do you think Liverpool or Arsenal are more likely to knocking off Man City next year? I think Arsenal still, just about. I think both teams will give it a go. Reported fees were 100 million and 200k a week. Could be good if both figures are less. Well, so apparently 90 million is actually what we're looking at for Declan Rice. We want 90, they want 120. So it'll end up somewhere in the middle, I expect. If Partey can't find form, he will ride the bench. I think Partey needs this summer to come quite quickly. I think he was tired. Into the odds and sods. So this is quite a long quote from David Ornstein. About to see Rui Walters. Asked Turner why he's coming off his line when we play Barcelona in pre-season. Look, I think Rui Walters will play a lot of pre-season, to be fair. Yeah, this is a long quote from David Ornstein. He was on Sky. It covers quite a few things. He said, Arsenal's interest in Declan Rice is well documented, but they will have competition for him. They looked at it in January, similarly with Caicedo, although they went a lot further with that. I'm not sure they'll be able to do both of them financially, but clearly the interest is there. They want a creative midfielder as well. That's why the likes of Mason Mount have come onto their radar. At the back, they'll have to look to do something. Their defensive record at home in particular is the worst it's been since 1984. That means there's going to need to be some reinforcements at centre-back, at right-back. Let's see what happens with Kieran Tierney too. And then he said what they could raise through departures is perhaps 100 million. Clearly, there's an opportunity to trade, and a lot of eyes will be on Edu and what he's able to do. Arsenal are going to be tested, and the evidence so far is that they've done pretty well. It's going to be a huge summer, and it looks like they're trying to move quickly to get stuff done sooner rather than later. So generally, that is a good quote from David Ornstein. That in general, I mean, if we've got 200 mil plus 100 million sales, you're looking at potentially 300 million to spend this summer. Because when people say that Arsenal will have a 200 million pounds to spend, that's 200 million net. So that's what will actually be given to spend from the Cronkies. So anything that we sell would then be added on top of that. So it's a big budget. If we are attacking the window early, of course, that's always beneficial. You don't want to be in late August trying to get deals done where clubs are holding you to ransom because they know that you need to buy more than they need to sell. So it is really important that we get the deals done early, and hopefully we're going to. The only other bit of sort of odds and sods was from Fabrizio Romano. Jorge Mendes, or George Mendes, I can never remember how to pronounce that one, is taking care of Manuel Ugarte's future. Talks will continue with Premier League clubs ahead of a summer move. Very concrete possibility. There's interest from 3 Premier League clubs, but no agreement with any team yet. The race is open. His release clause is 60 million euros. Now, Ugarte, from what I've seen of him, is a very, very good player. I know he got sent off against Arsenal. I know he was a bit of a bastard against Arsenal, but truthfully, he was very good. The way that he was breaking up the play in that lone 6 role was very impressive, and a 60 million euro release clause isn't bad. It's not bad if we can't get the targets that we've got. So there's a reason that 3 Premier League clubs are interested in him as well. Something was mentioned about Mendy from Madrid yesterday. Any news on that? Yeah, so Ferland Mendy is seen as surplus to requirements at Real Madrid. Apparently, the price tag's between 17 and 20 million. It's one of those that I look at initially, and I don't particularly like it. I don't think he is a suit for the way that Arsenal play anyway. He has struggled at Real Madrid, and yeah, I just don't see it. Rory, our Brighton loss showed me that we need Partey, Xhaka, and Tierney replaced. I mean, Partey didn't play. Xhaka and Tierney, I can agree that we need to upgrade Xhaka and Tierney. Rory, talk about rival fans saying this is our best season in 20 years when it isn't. It depends how you define what your best season is. Like in terms of point scoring, it is on track to be our best season in 20 years. Well, not quite 20 years, 18 years, technically. But yeah, I mean, let rival fans speak. I try and ignore them. Would you take Castagna from Leicester if they go down? Seen him linked recently. I don't think Castagna's at the level. These are the sorts of things that I feel like over the last few years, we'd get linked to them and you'd maybe think that you need it. I don't think Castagna is at the level for the Premier League or the Champions League, truthfully. How far do you think Arsenal will get in the Champions League if you had to predict? Quarterfinals is where I think we should aim to get to at least. Quarterfinals at least is where we should aim to get to. Anyway, it is time for Guess the Gooner, the game where I give you an ex or current Arsenal player. You have to guess where they're from based on their career path. I give you their career path minus the Arsenal part of it, obviously, so you don't know